movies for black girl nerds. Marlon, thank you so much for your time today. I enjoy how your career keeps evolving and growing, and you keep reinventing yourself, and this is no exception. When you have to portray someone who is a real person, not only that, but step into a more dramatic role, how does that change your approach to the role? And how does that affect you knowing that this is a person who was once living that you have to embody?
Um, Interesting question. I think life prepared me to play characters of all types. I've over the years, I mean, people may look and go, "Oh, that silly movie, Sextuplets." I played 7 different characters. White Chicks, I played 3 different characters. I've played everything from a white woman to a little person. Sketch, doing characters, creating characters, since coming from a living color, doing stand up, playing characters. To play someone real and give a real interpretation of the person, I don't think you do an impression. And I didn't have enough material on Ted White to do an impression, nor did I want to. I wanted some isms, but I wanted to marry what he was going through in his experience with what I would feel in that experience. And even the things I didn't understand, like I never hit a woman in my life. I love my mama. I love my sisters. I'm very respectful in that way. But I had to tap into what is something that will lead a man to do that to a woman. And it goes back to pain. Damaged people damage people. And so when I'm playing Ted, I'm not playing just the monster. I have to create the little boy that the monster's protecting. I have to play the hurt little boy that created the monster that damages people for him to feel better. And there's a texture of vulnerability in that, of insecurity, of jealousy, of things that you don't think a guy like Ted feels, because that's the only way you can play a character that the audience, because if you don't care about Ted at all, then I didn't do my job, because I want Ted and Aretha, I want the audience to feel that love, that he does love her. He wants to rescue her. He wants to help her. That's his intentions. But he's just so messed up that as she grows, his insecurities creep in. And then that's when you see the damaged guy and the monster come out. And the reason why I wanted to do that, because so many times, like even in my life, I've had women friends or family members who've been in abusive relationship with men. And our answer is always like, why don't you just leave them? Girl, just leave. But that's like so unsympathetic, because you didn't see them fall in love. They didn't meet and he said, hey, how you doing? Pop, come with me. That's not the way it works. This damaged woman fell in love with this damaged man, and there's something had her in his arms like Superman. At some point, the monster came out. And then it's hard for her to leave because she loves him and she knows his backstory. She knows he's been through a lot. So I just try to give it layer and give him a history and why does he do these things, and give him mama issues and things like that. And I think when you do that, I think you have a character that plays on multiple levels, because he is the leading romantic lead, yet he's the villain. So how do you play this dichotomous character?
It's layered, and all characters are not bad and all characters are good, and you did a wonderful job of kind of illustrating those layers, like you just explained, of who this man is. He didn't wake up and just decide to do this. Your wonderful director, when I spoke to her earlier, she told me that you really lobbied for this. You flew out there, you guys sat, you discussed, and she loved the idea of you playing this part because she loves a wild card casting. She has a member of her cast that no one expects. When did you zero in on this role and knew this was the role for you to embody?
My agent William Morris, I think Chris Fiota and Alyssa Beyer. William Morris Endeavor gave me the script. I read it on the plane on my way to Chicago to do a gig. And after my gig, I told them I loved it. I thought Tracy wrote a great script. I had heard about Liesl and her work on Broadway. And I heard it was Jennifer, who I'm a fan, and I thought it'd always be great to work with her. And then I heard Forrest was doing it, and I was like, yo, this is one of the movies that I want to be in. I can see myself doing it. I know this role. I know how to play it. And so then it was like, okay, we'll meet with Liesl over Skype. I said, no, I'm not going to do that. I want to meet her face to face, because I want to see if our interpretation of this character aligns. Because if you have a talk with some director or creative talk and you don't see eye to eye on the character, then chances are you're going to have a bad experience, because they're interpreting it one way and you're interpreting it another way. And so I got on the plane. I sat with Liesl. I was impressed by just the production office, and I was walking through her brain when I was, I seen the garments for the clothes on the wall, and I seen the sets, and I seen old albums covers. Like it literally is walking through Liesl's brain. And when I sat with her and Tracy, I just explained what I never think about movies like, oh, can you please give me a role? I always look at it like, here's my interpretation of the role, and what do you think? Because I don't know, it's just a healthy perspective on, because this industry can be so disappointing, and I like to have fun when I work. So I just want to know what her interpretation of the character was. And so I spit mine out there first, and I just told her, I don't want to play a monster. I want to play somebody a damaged man that tries wholeheartedly to love and protect a damaged woman and miserably fails. And if that's something you want to play, I want to play insecure. I want to play jealousy. I want to play insecurity. But I don't want to just be abusive. If that's what you're looking for, that's not my take on it. Because I think the most damaged people are the most evil people and the most damaged people. And so that's what I wanted the audience to experience.
Like your comedic performances, this performance also has a lot of physicality, the rigors of physicality, and just that performance element, because it's highs, it's lows, it's lots of emotions, it's lots of things like that. Are you able to watch yourself when you first saw yourself in the role? I don't know if you watch dailies or how you what your process is for performing. What did you think when you first saw yourself, like your first scenes of performing as this gentleman?
Whenever I watch myself, I call me him. I rarely call me, because I want to be objective about what I feel about the performance. So I call him. Oh, he made me laugh. I go, oh, he's funny, right? So when I seen him, I was like, okay, he fits. That it's seamless. Like the way he spoke, the way his hands were, the way, even his body, the way he stood up, the way he walked. I'm pigeon-toed. Ted walked like this. Was I really living the character? Was every emotion true? And I thought he did. I was impressed with what he did, because I just like, I think everything I've been through in my career has prepared me for that moment. You know what I mean? Like playing 7 people in a movie, sitting in makeup for 7 hours, like all the things, everything I've been through has prepared me for that specific moment of this character. And I just put it all together, and it worked in a very subtle way.
Well, Marlon, I've watched you for many years, and I'm very proud of you. I think you did a beautiful job, and it was
Thank you.
Refreshing, and very excited for the masses to see you all perform this way. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you very much.
Take care.
Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you so much, or afternoon, depending on where you are. Thank you so much for your time.
Jeandra, it's a pleasure. It's so good to speak with you.
You as well. I'm very excited for other people to see this movie. I saw it last night and it evoked so many emotions out of me. I truly, truly loved it. And I wonder now, as you await the world to see this, what are you thinking about as you have this all this press now, as we get to gear up the machine to give birth to your baby? How are you feeling right now?
I am just so freaking excited. I just cannot wait for people to see it. I've poured my heart and soul into this film, and it's been years in the making, and COVID put a lot of pauses on a lot of things. And I just, I love Aretha Franklin so much, and I love the people who worked with me on this movie so much that I feel like it could be a healing force, after this dark period that we've lived in the last year and a half, a period of isolation, a period of uncertainty, and a period of, people really having to sort of struggle. It is my belief that this film, like her music, could soothe people's souls and also awaken them to forces greater than themselves in the positive way.
Absolutely. I think of all the challenges, and it's nothing compared to the obstacles that Miss Franklin overcame to become this global superstar and icon, civil rights activist, and probably many, many other things that the world are not even aware of. And so this is truly a gift to see this about her life. When you're take the charge of directing a film that features a living person and you actually have time with that person, and unfortunately they leave us before the product is finished, how does that shape your lens, having them in the flesh and then having them in the spirit and completely?
So I never met Aretha Franklin in real life. She passed before I came on board, as a director on this film. But I was a child. I honestly don't know when I didn't know Aretha's music, because I came from a very musical household. Music was playing all the time. And I feel like I listened to her music in the womb. You know what I mean? Like, it just was not a time when I didn't have her sound in my life, and as an important part of my artistic life, even as a little girl. So it's one of those things where when it was time, when I got the call that they were interested in listening, and talking to me about this film, I felt like I knew exactly what the film should be. I felt like I knew exactly what the songs should be. It was one of those things where, like, I opened up the channels and I received the information, and then I went into the meeting and I was like, this is where it should start. This is where it should end. These are the songs that should happen in the middle of it, and this is the journey that I want to tell. And the way I pitched it is that it should be a movie about a woman with the greatest voice in the world who needed to find her own voice. And I feel like we can all relate to that, and the studio and the producers seem to agree. They came back to me a couple weeks later and they were like, yeah, okay, let's do that. Let's make that movie. And then, of course, once you get the job, you're like, what was I thinking? Who do I think I am to helm the Aretha Franklin biopic as my first movie? It's crazy talk. So it's been a roller coaster, but at the same time, I knew then what I thought the movie should be, and that's the movie I made.
That's a huge accomplishment, to this being your first major film. How do you celebrate that, given that this is a favorite artist of yours, having this music in your household, and this is the introduction to the huge stage for you?
I mean, for me, it's really, at the end of the day, about the audience. I don't make movies for myself. Art is a form of expression, but at the end of the day, I am trying to be in conversation with an audience. And the way I celebrate it is for every audience member that says it, it spoke to them, or they saw themselves, or they didn't know that about Aretha, and makes them love her even more. That to me is every single moment like that is a celebration.
Our titular star, Jennifer Hudson, is beyond incredible. We are all fans of hers and her incredible work. There are some very moving, the whole film is moving, but the music is a huge part, like another character of the film, and she brings so much life to those. And knowing her own personal story, it made it even that more impactful and meaningful for me personally. When you direct some of those major scenes, the performance scenes, what are the keys to nailing those and capturing the essence of Aretha, bringing Jennifer's talents and making sure that it's true to your artistic integrity?
So, I spent about 15 years of my early career as a theater director. And that definitely, plays into my aesthetic in this film. First of all, Aretha Franklin knew what she was doing when she said it should be Jennifer. And I'm not just talking about the spectacular voice. It's also the depth of humanity that Jennifer brings. Aretha knew, that she herself had a life full of triumph and tragedy, and so did Jennifer, and that she was going to be able to bring that level of humanity to the performance. And so, for me, again, coming from the background that I come from, there were two things that I believed in. One is that everybody should sing live on set, that this movie and the capturing the emotionality of Aretha Franklin's singing and artistry meant that it was going to have to happen in front of the camera live. And I made sure that in addition to Jennifer, everybody else who had to sing could sing. So every single song that you hear in the movie, we sang, live on set. And that, I think, contributes to the emotional intensity of the musical performances. And that's just something I direct a lot of musicals. And so I know the power of live singing. And then the other thing I think is, Jennifer and I started talking, well in advance of walking onto set. And we talked about how to prepare and the techniques that, that should be used. And she was so dedicated in terms of working on the vocal stuff, working on Aretha's accent, movement, learning the piano, like that, that dedication to preparedness. It's something that I feel very strongly about, and Jennifer was right there with me. And so when we finally got onto set, we were so ready, and one of the things about being prepared is that you can then be free to just try things, and you don't have to worry about whether or not you're ready for the day, because you are. And Jen and I, we felt the same about that, and we all agreed early on that there was only one diva on the set, and that was the spirit of Miss Aretha Franklin. And, that's it.
And lastly, Marlon Wayans, wow, to see him, a total transformation. I've always felt that comedians could make that transition into drama very easily, because there's such a fine line between laughter and sadness. What is the key to bringing him in and curtailing that humor that we know him for into such a serious role?
So I think that for me, one of the things that I like and will always do is, I think when you cast a movie, you should always have some surprises. I think as a director, it's my job to know things about actors that audiences don't necessarily know. And one of the things that I felt about Marlon Wayans was, I had seen a movie that he did years and years ago called Requiem for a Dream. He was a baby, and he was brilliant in it. And I was looking for that, that casting surprise in this film. And then Marlon flew himself to my office in Atlanta, between gigs, and sat with me, and we talked. And I looked into his eyes and I thought, he can do this. He should do this. This is his role. And there were definitely people, who were surprised and unsure, but I just knew that he could do it, and he knew he could do it, and that's and he did. He's so good. he's so powerful. It feels like at times you're not even watching Marlon. It's a whole other person. And that is a testament to being a true actor, that you can be a chameleon.
Yes, he is. I thank you tremendously for this beautiful, beautiful magnum opus of a film. It is incredible. Thank you so much for your time and talking to me today.
Oh, what it's a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Take
I'm
care.
glad you enjoyed it.
Thank you. Thank you again.
Take care.
Better shake your booties for black girl nerves. Better shake your booties for black girl nerves.